When my wife walked out on me, it felt as if the ground had vanished beneath my feet. 4 years of marriage had tied us together, and though we faced struggles, I truly believed our love could endure the hardships. I worked endlessly, sometimes holding down 2 jobs just to keep food on the table and the lights on. Then came the day she looked at me with eyes that had grown cold. Her words were sharp and final. She could no longer bear a life built on poverty. Without hesitation, she packed her belongings and left. I pleaded with her, desperate for her to stay, but she told me she deserved more than I could offer. In that moment, humiliation and heartbreak crushed me. 4 months, silence became my companion. I replayed her words over and over, wondering what crime I had committed other than not being wealthy. Nights were the hardest. I would lie awake imagining her in the arms of another man, smiling the way she no longer smiled at me. But instead of letting despair destroy me, I made a choice. I decided to fight for a better life, not to win her back, but to reclaim myself. Slowly, opportunities began to appear. A business partner who believed in me offered a chance, and together we built something solid. Success did not come overnight, but it came. Money began to flow, but more importantly, I gained stability, respect, and confidence. 2 years later, an envelope arrived that made me laugh in disbelief. It was a wedding invitation. From her. She was marrying a wealthy man, and for reasons I could only guess, she thought I should be there. Perhaps she wanted me to see what I had lost, or maybe she wanted to remind me of the life I once couldn't give her. At first, I considered tossing the card away. Then I realized, this was my moment. When her wedding day arrived, I showed up not as the man she had abandoned, but as the man I had become. I stepped out of a sleek car in a suit tailored to perfection. Whispers rippled through the hall as people who once knew me as the struggling husband now stared in astonishment. I moved through the crowd with quiet poise, shaking hands with people who now respected me. When she finally saw me, her confident smile cracked. Her eyes widened. Panic flickered across her face. Later, she approached with a trembling voice. "You came," she said, almost shocked. I returned a calm smile. Of course. I wouldn't miss such an important occasion. Her groom noticed the tension, but she quickly brushed it aside. I made no display of bitterness or anger. Instead, I let her see what she had walked away from. During dinner, guests asked about my life. I shared stories of my business, my travels, the work I had built with my own hands. I didn't brag. I simply spoke the truth. The admiration on their faces was unmistakable, and from across the table I saw the envy in her eyes. Her wealthy groom shifted uncomfortably, as though sensing that despite everything, a part of her still wondered what she had given up. At one point, she leaned close and whispered, "Why didn't you tell me you would become successful?" I gave a quiet laugh. "Because love should never hinge on money. You taught me that lesson in the hardest way." She had no answer. Her eyes glistened, but I felt no pity. That part of me was long gone. The rest of the night, I enjoyed myself. I laughed, I danced, I left with dignity. I hadn't come to ruin her celebration. I had come to show her that her choice was her greatest mistake. She had exchanged loyalty for wealth, and in the end, she was left with neither. When I drove away that night, I didn't look back. My revenge wasn't loud, nor was it cruel. It was the quiet, undeniable proof that I had risen far beyond the man she thought I'd always be. That evening, I slept more peacefully than I had in years. I finally understood that the sweetest form of revenge is not anger or destruction. It's living so well that those who doubted you can never forget what they threw away. She left me for poverty, and invited me to her wedding thinking I would be the same broken man. Instead, she witnessed the life she could have shared, and that truth alone was all the revenge I needed.